Hey guys, what's up? In today's video, I want to talk about how I got to top 100 in Brawl Stars with the character Buzz, and how you can do it too by following these easy tips and tricks. So first off, I want to start off with the more basic ones, such as how with your hypercharge, whenever you grapple onto the wall, you can stun enemies that way, so you still have the extra hypercharge. So you can, or supercharge, so you can stun them, hit him, and then stun him again, and then hit him, so they can't attack you, but you can eliminate them all the way. Next, another thing that you can do is, instead of wanting to be really aggro and push in, if you don't have your super, you really do not want to be doing that. You want to be a lot more careful. So what you want to do is you want to follow people around and kind of like just hover around them, like let them be in your range so you can charge your super off of them, but not actually get too close to where they can deal damage to you or to where you could die. And another thing with the super range radar thing, you can use that as a way to tell if someone is in a bush or not, because if it's charging, there's obviously someone nearby. So in this clip, for example, I'm using it to see that there's like, oh, there's a character in that bush. And you can also, another thing about the radar is the more people in the super's range, the faster it charges, the faster your super and your hyper charges. So let's say it's like charging very slowly. That means there's probably only one person. But seen in the training grounds, whenever you're hovering around all of the bots, it charges almost instantly. It is really quick. And until you get your super, you really want to stay away from the long range brawlers, because without your super, Buzz is a lot weaker. You really need your super and preferably your hypercharge in order to stay alive in top tier lobbies like max tier lobbies. Especially when you get up to the much higher trophies like 13, 1400, that's when you really need to be careful. One thing about Buzz is whenever you're running to an opponent, your attack is a lot shorter, but whenever you're walking away from an opponent, it's a lot longer. So if you want to utilize a little bit of longer range on Buzz, then what you're going to want to do is instead of chasing a brawler if they start running away, just disengage from the fight or super onto them to reconnect. Because once you start running towards them, your attacks are just going to get a lot shorter, and the likelihood of you hitting them is a lot lower. Unless you're directly on top of the brawler. In that case, just go for it. Just go for the kill. But if you're not, then be very careful. A big factor about Buzz and max tier lobbies is being careful and playing him on the right maps. But one thing before I get into the type of maps and stuff that you should be playing is one thing that you can do, since his basic attack, it's a wave. It starts at the left and then it shoots out going towards the right. You can dance around angles and deal damage without actually getting damaged against like really high health brawlers up close, such as Bull. You can kind of dance around the angles and make it to where whenever your attack curves, you follow the angle and it follows the brawler, so you can deal damage to them without getting almost any damage dealt to yourself. Anyway, in terms of mechanics, that's almost all. I will cover some more later. But next, I want to talk about the maps. I only play Buzz on Solo Showdown and Duo Showdown. I never, ever play him in any other mode. I've seen a lot of people that are good with him in Brawl Ball, but for me, that's just not how I like to do it. And if you really want to get that top 100, it's not the way to go, if I'm being so honest. And for Buzz, you should really only be playing him on very bushy maps. I would recommend Island Invasion, Cavern Churn, and this one's just like a little unique one, Safety Center. All of those maps I have found are very powerful with Buzz. If there's any modifiers though, such as the robot, he gets a lot weaker, because with modifiers, specifically the robot, he has a hard time killing it. So if the robot is on the map, I do not really recommend playing him. But if it's a map like Cavern Churn, Safety Center, or Island Invasion, and there's no robot, I highly recommend Buzz. Highly recommend him. Another thing that's good with Buzz is he's a very friendly, like easy to play, easy to learn brawler. But he's one of those brawlers where his skill cap is still very high for the most part. He's an easy brawler to learn, but an even harder one to master, because there's a lot of little secret mechanics that a lot of people don't know about him. And The other thing with Buzz is, for me, I feel like the optimal build is for gadgets, I use X-ray shades, and for star power, I use eyes sharp. So the X-ray shades makes it to where you can see everybody in the area of your super for 12 seconds, which is a very long amount of time, and this is very powerful on the much more bushy maps. And the star power makes it to where your supercharging area is increased by 33%, which again, for how you want to play with Buzz and the gadget I'm using, it is very powerful and definitely the one that you should pick. The one where his stun is increased, it's good. It's just by such a minimal amount of time that it's kind of minuscule compared to what it could be. So that's why the eyes sharp one is much better. And the reserve buoy, you would pick reserve buoy if you were playing in like a 3v3 mode. But X-ray shades is the much better one for solo showdown because reserve buoy is just like a, in brawl ball it gets you that super, hockey gets you that super, just like a good shot. Knockout just gets you to them to get the kill or whatever. But in solo showdown, the best way to push Buzz, you definitely want to pick X-ray shades. And then the gears don't matter as much, but for me, I have the health gear and the shield gear. This just makes him a lot more tanky because I've had many scenarios where he doesn't quite pull out when it comes to damage and being able to withstand a lot of attacks. So I feel like the health and the what's it called, the shield gadget are a lot better. And then preferably, if you can, you of course want the hyper, because the hyper only makes him better and it gives you so much mobility. It gives you a lot more freedom around the map to move around and get new positioning and new spots to where you're a lot better off in the match. And one really good thing, this is about the last mechanic I have for him. One really good thing about Buzz is he's really good at escaping really bad situations. So let's say you're getting pinched and there's really no way of coming out of that situation. You can stun a wall to stun your opponent and then grapple away. You don't have to kill them, especially if it's like a power 9 bull. That's just a completely random example. But you can't kill that. If your Buzz has no power cubes, you cannot kill that. So you're probably just going to stun him and run or die. But with this idea, you can stun the wall and just keep going. You can just run. Or vice versa. If there's another way out, you just hyper and then just start supering. The likelihood of you getting caught is very slim, and people will often not chase you just because you're a Buzz and you're tend to be very powerful. Anyway, that's all for this video. That's how I got to top 100 in the world with Buzz. And that's all for this video. If y'all have any questions, comments, anything, please put them down in the comments down below. But anyway, that's all. Don't forget to like and please subscribe. Adios.